Forbes India presents The New at Work, presented by Google WorkSpace.
Hello and welcome to Forbes India Presents The New at Work, presented by Google WorkSpace. I'm your host, Paromita Chatterjee. Now, the objective of this series is to have a discussion with key industry stakeholders on how to design a people-centric work ecosystem that is connected, flexible, secure, and also fosters collaboration. The modern workplace of today has to also provide agility to the workforce, even as it delivers a seamless customer experience. Now, on the show today, we focus on one particular aspect, which is building the workforce for the future and the workspace disruption for IT and IT-enabled services. And we have with us a lineup of companies who have re-engineered how they're relooking at the workspace, their connectivity with their employees, and of course, ultimately, the experience that they're delivering to their customers. Let me introduce our speakers to you on the show today, starting with Sumedha Chakraborty, who's the country head, India and SAARC business at Google Workspace, Google Cloud. Birendra Singh, Vice President, Voice Operations and Collaborations Services Delivery at Sify Technologies. Suresh Kumar Ramasamy, Vice President, GAVS Technology. Mukund Palani, Associate Vice President, Bitwise India. Rajesh Pawar, Senior Vice President, Global Delivery at Cigniti Technologies. Anand, Associate Vice President, Product Engineering at Innodata India Private Limited. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on this discussion. In fact, let me initiate this chat today with the first question to Sumedha, who joins us from Google. Sumedha, explain to us, what do we mean by the digital workspace in today's time and place, and what are those key disruptions which are taking place?
Sure. Thanks, Paromita. And thank you so much to all the panelists here who have joined us today. I think the first thing I want to start with is how we have changed as human beings from the pre-pandemic to the post-pandemic times. There was a research that had been done by an organization in the US around employees looking for location flexibility in their workplace. And the pre-pandemic numbers around that were around 29% employees wanting to have location flexibility. But when that research was done again in 2022, and we can assume we have stabilized, that number has increased to 51%. So literally 50% increment in the ask from employees for location flexibility. Time flexibility is something that was important even previously and continues to show equal importance now as well. Now, if we go back to the first point around location, that clearly calls for a lot of thought among employers who are planning to keep hybrid as a way of work, and hence how important it has become for all their employees, and hence would use this as a leading way into the conversations around how important digital workspaces and platforms that support the same have become in the post-pandemic era, given the needs and ask of the employees have clearly shifted quite a bit towards having location as an important aspect of their work life. Secondly, I think there is a need for the mindset change, also a clear change that is needed for employees across the board in terms of being willing to collaborate, willing to really exchange their thoughts with another peer of theirs, even if the peer is not always available online. So those are some of the mindset shifts that we are seeing in our customer places who are driving towards a policy around digital workspaces. And the tools that we are building in Google will continue to focus on those shifts, and the features that we are rolling out in the future as well will continue to focus on those mindset shifts of the employees as well as the employers who are trying to retain talent as well as attract new talent in their pool.
Right. In fact, let's bring in one of our panelists, Anand, who's representing Innodata today, which of course has multiple locations across the world. Anand, how do you apply a little bit of what Sumedha has said in terms of your experience, whether it applies to your clients as you help them in their digital transformation journey? What's the key demand from them, and internally as an organization as well?
To begin with, let me say that I am in very much agreement with what Sumedha said. So pre-pandemic, there were digital footprints were available, but minimal 5%, 10%. But pandemic forced us to jump on digital transformation very quickly, and that's what IT and ITES company did, and that's what we also did for ourselves and also for our customers. So what we did, first of all, we within a week's time we moved to cloud services. That helped us to allow all our users to work from anywhere. That was really great. And then when we moved to the cloud, everything, there was no concern related to accessibility of the data because everything was on the cloud. So cloud helped us in three major ways. One was availability, second was accessibility, and third was security. So all these three together helped us to ensure that yes, we go online, we remain online, and we contribute to customers' requirement without having any concern to the data security.
Right. Those are some great points that you've raised, and clearly, cloud was an important lever that you used, both from your customers, especially for your customers, to address some of those needs. Mukund, come in here. One of the other points that Sumedha raised is one is, of course, keeping your data agile on the cloud while also keeping it secure. There are many benefits, but when it comes to today's hybrid workplace, there is also that whole human touch or the human aspect, which everyone is craving for, and that Sumedha also briefly alluded to, even in the online world. How did you address that aspect of the issue, even while this entire workspace disruption was being undertaken?
So one of the things that was more while things went digital, and I totally agree, the social touch was something which after a point in time people started to miss out, and that is where we kind of came innovative with our HR partners to see how we can engage more on them on various forums. So we started to have more of these events right from Monday Mingles. This is one platform where at an organization level we started to have those social connects, and we made it a point that any celebrations that happens, be it because post pandemic, initially there are a lot of challenges, but we overcame the challenge in terms of deliverables and any celebrations. Once the pandemic came out and we came out of that, I think the celebration aspect where bringing the team in smaller chunks, helped us to make sure that the team was excited to come and meet their friends in the organization. And that is one area where we started to throw programs like where meet and greet, and many people in this pandemic who just changed their laptops, from one organization to another organization. So they had really a challenge which we could see. And to break that, we had a lot of icebreaker sessions, and created a platform where people could come in and meet their buddies, one-on-one, make sure what the new organization is. So those kind of aspects helped us to make sure that the newcomers are also settling down in the organization sooner and faster. Yeah. And as well being more productive. That was one challenge which we faced, and we overcame with all of these things.
Okay, so you did use some of those online tools and, as you said, icebreaker sessions to keep that fun and connected element going. Rajesh Pawar, you're heading global delivery for Cigniti, again, a company with many places of work, and you have employees all across the world as well. So what were some of the key concerns that you addressed, and how did you resolve them when it came to digital transformation, both internally and externally?
See, we as a company, we are an IT services company, and predominantly we work the way how customer expect us to work, right? Being in the service industry, unlike a product companies. We had multiple challenges. For example, many of our employees were actually working on desktop. They were not given a laptop. Obviously, in one of the parameter in the service industry, the laptops will cost more than a desktop, so you want to keep your cost at control, right? From having that kind of a problem statement to making people completely available to work remotely, I think we have gone through a complete 360 degree in terms of transformation. Okay, today we have close to about 4,000 employees, and seamlessly they join us. They work across India, not necessarily in the core locations. They're in as remote places as in northeast, or even some part of Kerala or Karnataka. We ensure we deliver the laptops to their place, onboard them very seamlessly. I think thanks to all the digital transformation tools what we have, the connecting tools what we have, that's making a huge difference today to empower our employees and stay connected.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about innovations and how these were used. And let me go across to our next speaker, which is Suresh Kumar of Gas Technology. Suresh, when it comes to innovation, because companies now are also trying to keep costs under control while they're undertaking these digital transformations. How did that impact the workspace disruptors that you employed?
So I represent Gas Technologies, and it's a 4,000 plus employee count company. And we are doing the AIOps solution in terms of application development and managed services, and as well as we own the product Zif.ai. So ours is around healthcare, banking, and a lot of these factors. So these suddenly, right when this pandemic happened, and we all need to move towards that work from home or work from anywhere, right? So that when people have to work from different location, this kind of communication become a very key aspect, right? So all these collaboration tools, how we bring them together, and that's the way we engage with people and get the things done. So when it comes to the disruption and in terms of how we actually made this platform, I was talking about the Zip.ai, right? So that has a digital experience platform wherein we can enable this as a platform in the endpoints. So this sitting in your laptops and desktops can increase the productivity of the employees, or can give the insights about what is the kind of feel the employees are having. It can cut across any sort of endpoint, right? So that's the disruption we have brought in. It's under the space of digital experience. So there it can give you the insights in terms of how the endpoints are being effectively utilized, and what is the kind of insights in terms of whether they're stuck with any bottlenecks, or in terms of how their deliverables, in terms of their productivity, all those things.
Like we're getting a lot of insights in terms of employees. What was their experience like? What were the bottlenecks that they were facing? What were some of those issues which were coming up?
Right. So initially, right, when we have to move into this workforce, the new age workforce, right? So the work model. The challenge was in terms of, as one of the co-panelists said, about the distribution of these laptops all of a sudden, to ensure that with the replacement of the desktops, and then their adoption to this new technology. It's not that these technologies of screen sharing and messengers are new to us. It has been there in this industry for a couple of decades. But what is more important is the employees or the peers or colleagues who used to sit next in their in the office and communicate their ideas in terms of planning, deliverables, all of those things. All of a sudden, they have to sit in different location, virtually communicate to each other, and that has become quite a good amount of challenge, right? So there, these online collaboration tools, be it document sharing, be it the video conferencing, be it the communication like Teams and Google Meets, so they helped us a lot in terms of onboarding the employees very quickly and ensuring the deliverables in a proper way. So that has become the very key aspect. And the bottlenecks were in terms of for example, not that all the connectivity would be proper, not that all the communication can be good enough, right? So that is where the digital experience platform can enable us, has actually helped us in bringing up the right insights about where exactly the bottleneck is. That something background or some process running in those endpoints is actually taking up more bandwidth due to which the employee is unable to make a Teams call or unable to make a video sharing. So those insights we could collect. So that's the kind of bottleneck, both in terms of physical
In fact, that's a great point that you've made, and let me go across to Birendra here, because at Sify Technologies, of course, as a company, historically, you have seen a lot more perhaps than some of the companies who have joined us today. But having said that, communication is really, at the heart today of the kind of relationship that one has with one's employees, and of course how you're servicing your customers as well. In terms of the infrastructural innovations or the big trends that have happened in terms of enabling infrastructure to really deliver this kind of hybrid experience to employees, what have you been witnessing and what are you expecting here from here on?
What we have seen, I'll talk about two aspects. One is that the what we see is that those cloud applications, wherein we are connecting both the customers as well as the employees together and improving this collaboration experiences is something which is going to be like growing leaps and bounds, and that's what we experience in Sify. Of course, we are setting up a multiple data centers across pan India, in a big way. What we have also seen is that if you look at the employee levels, the younger employee, the mid-level managers, and the senior management. Now, the senior management, if you talk about it, it's all coming from a kind of 20, 30 years kind of background, wherein they are more of a kind of audio conferencing type of, what we have seen. Although, and this is a real life experiences that we have seen. Now, what will happen is that with this pandemic, happening, and the employees, as our panelist told, most of were given the laptops and they were all working remotely. What we have seen that from a technology perspective, especially those senior level management call, typically I'm talking about the Sify's example, which was more of a TDM or SS7 or a legacy circuit switch based conferencing, moved to a completely, the conferencing on the Teams or a Cisco WebEx or a Google Meet. Yeah. So that is something which is there, and that was something that we've been trying to convey. The pandemic did it like this, right? And then we realized that no, this is how it is there. But what we also see is that the banks, typical banks, wherein they have this. We work with very very large BFSIs and those banks, and we have a team, basically a division which is heading that collaboration services and putting those equipment, connecting those networks, all those infrastructures, with all the possible vendors that you can imagine. So this is something, what we have seen is this banks and all, from an infrastructure and a caller point of view, they were more of a kind of private or a captive network they would have, okay, whether it's come to Cisco or a Teams or whatever. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
they have to have an internal this thing, and they would say the security is concerned, and they would not really think in the terms of a public cloud. What we have seen is that there is a transformation happening. Although, of course, there are certain guidelines. I'm not sure if some RBI or some banking auditing term will agree to it or not. But overall, the worldwide flexibility, and I see the flexibility here also, when there were captive infrastructure had a technical issues, what we have seen, we gave them the public cloud where they were able to collaborate and communicate, and suddenly the green channel opened for them. Yeah. And they said,
Okay.
look, the life can still survive.
And
Of course,
so I think that's a great example when it comes to the banking and financial services sector. On one hand, they are, of course, constrained by some of the regulatory norms in terms of their security requirements. But as you said, they have become more flexible. Let me go back to Sumedha. And Sumedha, we've heard different experiences from each one of our panelists in terms of how during the pandemic it clearly accelerated change, it clearly accelerated disruption, and people were utilizing perhaps new technologies at a far faster pace. But as you mentioned earlier, you said now we are coming back into the hybrid mode. People are coming back into the offices. In this new environment, Sumedha, I mean, what are the fresh innovations that are required and that you are expecting to see at Google and that are also being demanded by employees because they want to spend a few days in office and they also want to spend a few days at home. I mean, that's the new hybrid reality.
So, in terms of the imperatives of the digital workplace of today, which is very different from what it was a few years back, I think the focus for Google at least will be continuing to enrich the human experience, whether that be in the online fashion or in the hybrid fashion. So, most of our innovations and the features that we are rolling out at a very rapid pace. And just in this year, we have rolled out 300 plus features on the platform, which have been lighted up automatically, given ours is a cloud native platform. You don't need to go through any patch upgrades or any dependency on your admin to really start using those features. Most of those have been focused around improving the human experience, and also a lot of focus on security, which becomes imperative when you really have a free flow of communication and collaboration happening on the digital platform, like sharing of information, whether they are encrypted or not, what is the level of encryption and what can you control versus what you can't. And on those lines, Google has been rolling out some industry unique features like client-side encryption, where you don't have to rely on the product to really depend on unencrypting your data. You can hold your own key. So that's an innovation around security that we brought in, keeping in mind that the workplaces are going to be hybrid from here onwards. Another set of features of ours are focused around using AI to making the human interactions much more seamless, like auto nudges around what documents you would want to share when you are on a meet conversation with your colleagues, which is in line with what you have already shared with them and have been working as a team. Do you want to really share that in the screen when you're having a conversation on Meet? So those nudges are now coming up automatically, where earlier we used to literally, scramble on which document to share. Now those are getting auto nudged in the Meet when they see the same set of participants in the Meet as were the ones collaborating on the doc. The other piece and the last piece I'll say in this segment is we've been focusing a lot on a no-code platform of Google's acquisition, which is called AppSheet, which is now an inherent part of Google Workspace. That literally democratizes app making. And for the IT services audience that we have, most of the employees that you have a basic skill or knack of building or using tech to making lives simpler. And some of these innovations actually lie in pockets which may not be in your app development team, but in some other team. And you don't have to really wait for your app team to build an app that can seamlessly improve a process in the organization by using a no-code platform where you literally don't need to code anything. Many of the organizations and our customers who have used AppSheet have started using AppSheet for building apps like coming back after COVID, doing a test of their temperature, their health before they check in. So those kind of apps have been built overnight. Apps around how they are doing a lot of internal events with a lot of fun activities embedded, and that also helps the online crowd also join and have a seamless experience and an event experience, even if not everything is still offline or in a physical mode. So creating those apps which a marketing team can create or another team can create who's focusing on processes, I think makes innovation more democratized than just keeping it in that team of app building folks. And that was another area of focus that Google is really focusing on in the new world.
In fact, let me pick up on that term democratization, because it's becoming more and more a demand almost amongst employees. And it's also a big plus, would you say, Anand, the fact now that employees anywhere at any point in time can actually access the same data or perhaps the same information that was only available in silos, or does that still remain a bit of a challenge?
With the help of technology, this problem is becoming diluted day by day. Yes, that used to be a big challenge, sharing chunk of big data. But now, since I mean, if I share my team's experience, since we are working on the cloud completely, so from storage, from computing device, everything we are on the cloud. So sharing data or making data available along with security feature intact is not an issue for us. I would like to say thanks to the cloud feature, cloud infra, which has enabled us to do that without any issue.
Rajesh, what's been your experience? And even as this data is moving out of silos, thanks to these new tools, and security is also a big concern. Security of the assets and security of all that data is. I mean, how did you sort of address both these goals?
Yeah, so I'll talk about both the things, right? One is, how do we made, technology accessible to everyone and also kind of a safe, right? Uh, Earlier, what used to happen, right? Many of our customers used to have an on-premise applications, and we need to have a VPN, or sometime we need to be in office to access those applications, right? I think this whole COVID, I think, as many of my co-panelists mentioned about it, this kind of a leapfrog the transformation. So everyone started realizing that people should be able to access from anywhere and any location, right? That's one thing. But that also started bringing a lot of security challenges. I'll give an example. Some of the team members, in fact, they even eventually got fired, were actually keeping the some of the source code into a public platform. Not necessarily they're trying to actually steal the data, steal the code. It's just a kind of an ignorance, right? For example, some of the team members, the developers, they wanted to reuse this code when they go to a next company. This kind of a security measure started helping us because one client started flagging us saying, hey, I see my piece of code is lying in this particular, central open repository. Or sometime within our own IT system, we started getting those kind of, alerts. And that's where, we started running a massive education session to our employees to talk about the importance of, how not to misuse the data, how not to upload, client confidential data to common locations, right? So in my view, right, this whole transformation, what we were talking for years, it just took like a year and two, right? Where everyone moved to laptops, most of the application moved to a cloud, and everyone had a space in the cloud to manage that. Security became far more important. I think a lot of things that we never anticipated happened in this last, I would say, couple of years.
So let's take that vein of thought forward. Mukund, how do you react to some of these observations? I mean, employees clearly have to be reskilled, re-educated, but it has been now 2 years plus since the pandemic. Now I think a lot of the employees have become much wiser, smarter, and of course, a lot of controversies also have accompanied it. How have you approached some of the issues that Rajesh was talking about?
From a security standpoint, I think yes, I agree. The challenges are there, and additionally, also the awareness of a lot of our clients are also asking us about the security aspect, what an each individual team member is. So you talk about the data privacy, So we are making more of this awareness within our organization to say that how people need to handle be it data security or the PHI, personal information, whichever is being handled. That awareness is being run across the organization, cross-functional, to make sure that as a moral responsibility is one aspect which we are trying to make sure that it's being coming as a culture within the organization. Because when you're working for this kind of clients, the first aspect, even the client is looking at that how matured are your teams in terms of understanding data privacy, data security, and those aspects we are having continuous evaluation as well for our teams to see that how and where they're lacking. And there are specific training skills also which we initiated, and we are having kind of quizzes to make sure that they go through all of those aspects. And the second main thing is that in this space, I think with the change in the market condition and the disruption which is happening, we are also continuously focusing on our teams to make sure that how they can upskill themselves. That upskilling is an aspect which where we are kind of making sure that we are ahead of the game by focusing on technologies, because technology is simply evolving, and by the time one settles down, the new technology evolves. So that is one place where we are continuously focusing to make sure that our entire workforce is ahead of the game. And it has been a continuous process, and and I think this model will keep on evolving, and we have learned a lot in the past that how we need to evolve over this 1 year, and that has been a focus also for us.
Right, because very important point you mentioned about market conditions, because market conditions can change overnight, as we saw with the black swan event of the pandemic. They're changing again now, because Suresh, you say the one of the loudest concerns you're hearing from your clients is about controlling costs. So how are you addressing this issue of coming up with cost-effective solutions for your clients that is able to protect them from black swan events while also delivering, the kind of return on investments that they're seeking?
Well said. Well said. So, in fact, in one of our customer scenarios for one of our client delivery, say they are running a contact center or kind of where they have to deliver more like IT-enabled services, right? So there it's key and important that the employees in this kind of work from anywhere scenario, where the employee who actually delivers the thing is the right person, right? What if they do a proxy, right? So that is the kind of scenario which this customer was looking for. And there are various ways to achieve that, but we have brought in one of the key cost-effective solution, and under the umbrella of our digital experience, the DX product which I was talking about, where it internally has the feature of ensuring your biometry, your face recognition, fingerprint, all those things as part of our endpoint solution. So thereby, if I am as an employee, I need to be part of your engagement, I need to deliver something. I, as an employee, I need to ensure that these face recognition, biometrics, so these are all captured at random intervals from the endpoint side, be it my laptop or anything. So that captures and ensures that the right person is sitting and doing my work. So that way, be it a healthcare, be it a financial and the banking transactions, it's quite important that an efficient and cost-effective solution is put in place. And that effectively is what our DX is talking about, the live example, what I mentioned here. So this is in terms of cost-effectiveness. And in terms of the other thing, right, what we have to talk about in terms of how to engage the solution on the employee during the work from anywhere kind of scenarios, right? It is quite important that these things spread across three different categories, I would say. One, in terms of for HR, for retaining the talent, capturing the talent, right talent, and engaging them. So there it comes into the factor of like how to engage them in a weekly basis, in a continuous sessions, like conducting like a health Wednesday or some sort of session every Wednesday kind of thing. So thereby giving them a connect with them, so that they are mentally tied up to the organization. Though they are virtually somewhere, they are mentally tied up to the organization, and they are able to relate well rather than being so distant away, right, in the virtual world. So that's on a HR context. And when it comes to the planning and other aspects, right, it's quite challenging, right? When persons are sitting nearby each other, doing a planning and vision, all those things are quite easy. But when it comes to this, the new age workforce, these tools like the online video sharing, or be it your OneDrive or any sort of online drive, these kind of things play a lot of role in bringing the planning well in place, and thereby the sharing of things, keeping a single source of truth and versioning around these things. These online tools played a very well role in our transformation. And this is taking us into our next journey with our AI platform put in place, that this is taking our customer to their next journey. And that's on the in terms of planning aspects. And when it comes to the platform as such, right, so when we expect the employee and the organization and the stakeholders to deliver the right kind of things, it's quite important that the platform, that is underlying platform which is put in place, is reliable and available. So that is also quite important in terms of be it your endpoints, be it your servers, network devices, whatnot, right? So all these
But
things.
let's talk about that back-end platform, and Birendra, going back to you, because how do you build in resilience into some of your communication tools, which are really the backbone of some of the solutions that are being provided by the other speakers and their companies?
So basically, we come from a telco background, so we understand those platforms pretty well in terms of the real time high availability kind of scenarios with the kind of fallbacks in the place, and the appropriate engineering architecture embedded onto it. So these are the things which is there, which is of course ensure that we have a kind of non-failure kind of environment as far as the communication or a call, or even to add the simple telephony platform or an international long distance network that we have spanning across
Right.
the continent.
Hey,
So these are all
let me
resilient architectures.
she wants to comment on this, because Sumedha, what we are hearing a lot in terms of some of the comments is terms like resilience and building in that kind of resilience in terms of both future shocks, but also in the terms of being able to deliver continuously in this new hybrid world. How would you like to respond to some of the points that have been raised?
Sure. I think firstly, I wanted to comment on the skilling part and how everyone has talked about it's important to upskill the population of employees to be ready for a situation like this and build resilience in the future, but also normal skilling, especially in the IT industry where there is such a huge inflow of fresh graduates happening across the board, and fresh blood coming into these organizations. From that point of view, Google Classroom being part of the Google Workspace platform actually has been very well appreciated by a lot of our customers who have come through and given their feedback that a lot of these fresh graduates who are entering the workforce now, they have always grown up on Google Classrooms in their schools or universities, where we have a huge population already working on classrooms, right? So that being part of the platform and the seamlessness of sharing documents, the slides that are used for the training and having it readily in your Google Drive is a huge plus, even for the facilitators, not just for the end employees. The other point around, how the behavior is more important than literally the tools that you are putting in. I think that is one piece that is very paramount when someone is looking at a cloud native solution. What ends up happening, and again, saying this from experience, there are a lot of our customers as well as prospects who are on a cloud platform, but the way they are operating is still as good or bad as how it was when everything was on premises or literally connected with your desktop. Someone here mentioned about versioning. At Google and our customers who work on Google Workspace, the word versioning doesn't even exist, because we are collaborating real time. Versioning is there as an AI enabled feature of my document, but there is always one single document, the source of truth, where all the comments are put in the document by all the collaborators. No one needs to save versions in their desktop, and that in itself is a big plus when security or literally code getting lost, or important data, project data of a customer getting lost or mishandled because some employee had downloaded it in their desktop. The way Google Workspace works, and us always wanting to work on the cloud, it actually forces that mind shift change that we are talking about, that the behavior is helping us be more secure. When everything is online, access control is with the creator, and if he or she anytime views or feels that the data is going or the document is going to an unintended party, it can be revoked immediately, and there is no copy of that data with the party that is not supposed to have the data, right? So this is a behavior change which we are also having a lot of conversations around with our customers, who keep saying a lot about cloud, but when we do like double click, triple clicks into the behavior, I think the behavior for all of us as a country in India needs to move a little bit more towards cloud native and away from wanting to save everything in the thick version on our desktop. So that's one thing I really wanted to comment on around the mind shift change.
Right. And I think a very important point, as you said, the mind shift change is so important. And Birendra, respond here, because here we're talking about an entire cultural change, actually. I think that's what Sumedha is alluding to in terms of our mindset. She said, saving everything on our desktops, we all do that, as opposed to going on to the cloud, which has many more security elements. Comment a little bit about the cultural mindset, which is changing, and what are you seeing for the future, and how important is it in order for this kind of transformation in the workspace to continue?
No, I think, of course, there is a definitely a change as far as the mindset is concerned. Where the employees are like, I'll use the word feel at a home kind of thing, well comfortable, right? So when we are into, for example, our the meetings, the board meetings, all the senior management conversations, all everything is actually moved down to kind of cloud. Both the as one of the panelists said, the HR and the those HR sessions, for example, employee engagement sessions like yoga or meditation or a doctor consultation, and those HR level engagements. Anything and everything today is driven out of the cloud. And initially, if you look at the initial the start of the pandemic and all, of course there are online digital etiquettes and a typical manner which has to do, for example, the lighting and the way you the coordinate and the kind of online collab etiquettes and all. So those things have actually matured enough, and today it's kind of feel at home, where we really do not feel that we are doing a conversation around as far as the laptop is concerned. I know we are feeling that we are just sitting next to each other and doing conversation. From an organization's point of view, and Sify, we have like hundreds of offices on a pan-India basis, even in the remotest corner of the world, because being an ISP, a deep down village in Bihar or a B-class town also needs a connectivity, and those banking networks that we maintain deep down from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari and Assam and Middle East, all the stuff, so what will happen is that everything is so connected and convenient. I mean, we don't have any problems at this point of time,
Okay.
as far as the collab is concerned or anything is concerned, and it's like it's there. I mean, I don't feel a difference whether I'm doing it online or offline. I mean, the ease of communication is very much there. That's the shift what we have seen from last 2 years, where we think that we are doing it on laptop. I have to be like that. But today it's just like a normal conversation, as if I'm talking to somebody in a
And
real
indeed,
time
we
basis.
are having a conversation. I couldn't have imagined this to be happening, maybe 3-4 years ago. The very fact that we are doing these kind of discussions with so many panelists now online on the kind of platforms which have been enabled. So you're very right. But let's talk about the future, because this is, as we said, this trend is here to stay. So Anand, I mean, we heard from Birendra in terms of, and also Sumedha, in terms of the cultural mindset and the cultural mind shift. For you as a leader in your company, what are going to be the workforce disruptors or innovations that you are going to be focusing on in the coming few years?
First of all, I also emphasize on the point what Sumedha said is about the behavioral change in the users. That is very important. And once we have that, from the technology side, I believe communication has been good support to us. being able to work remotely without any issue. But there is a lot of scope for improvement. That's one thing. And second thing is that I believe if we can maybe bring down our work to tab from laptops or desktop, to some extent this has been possible, but there is still some work which can only do on laptops and desktops. If that can be somehow bring down to tab or something like that, that will be of great help, because then in real sense you will be able to work from anywhere and work from any device.
In fact,
Currently
let
it's
me
work from
quickly ask
anywhere.
Sumedha to respond to this point and also address the point of really centralizing, assets and really all of this data and its management for employees. What are the kind of offerings, for instance, that Google is giving to its clients?
No, great point, Paromita. I think the immediate response to this is our platform actually runs on one of the lowest bandwidths needed across all other platforms if you compare Meet with other video conferencing, and that itself makes it such a huge lifesaver for employees in tier 2, tier 3 cities who may be remotely working and doing perfectly fine from their desktops with a thick LAN connected. If they have a remote support client somewhere in the US or somewhere else in the world, right? They really don't have to sit in a tier 1 city and do the job. But when they are mobile, can they still stay connected? Yes. The experience that we have on our mobile devices is almost similar, with no feature reduction in the mobile experience compared to the desktop experience. And that is what I was alluding to, that we are trying to make sure that the seamlessness between mobile and a desktop and the human experience around a mobile as well as desktop is something that we continue to focus on and continue to also make available in all the SKUs. So that is another very important piece, that is a differentiator that we have continued to build in the vision of the product. We do not hamper the experience of the end user, even if it be the entry level SKU of Google Workspace compared to the most premium SKU. The differences come in around storage and come in around maybe some advanced security features, but from an experience point of view, whether it be collaboration on a document sheet or slides, whether it be collaborating over Meet or Spaces or chat, everything is the same in the entry SKUs as well as in the premium SKUs. And that is not a vision that we will swerve away from, and will continue to make it equitable across every employee. Doesn't matter if it's the most junior or the most senior employee in the organization. So that would be two imperatives that Paromita, we will continue to focus on, and
Right.
hopefully that is where we will be able to bring an equitable collaboration, not just effective collaboration.
In fact, let me again pick up on your term, equitable collaboration, equitable disruptors as well. Rajesh, Pawar, I mean, what are going to be, you just heard from both Sumedha and Anand in terms of what is going to be their key focus areas in the future. What would you like to add to that list, or would you stay with these themes?
No, I think there is still definitely a lot of room for optimizing the experience for employees, right? It is still broken today. Even if you talk about though we have technology availability, but still whether the way we recruit people, the way we onboard them, the way we engage them, I would still see a lot of gaps in that. And I'll be glad to hear what Google is offering in some of these spaces, right? It can be it can change the way we all run our organizations.
Indeed. We'll give Sumedha to give us a last word on that. Let's first hear from the rest of the panelists. Mukund, share with us your vision for the future in terms of the workspace, and also address a little bit in terms of maintaining the IT hardware and how you are addressing building those employee skills to address the hardware side of the story.
Yeah. So one simple thing which I would say is, Paromita, that acceptance. So I think the pandemic is almost over, and it has taught us to get into this mode of execution. And from an IT standpoint, I think that is still evolving, because cloud has come into a place, and for a service-based organization like us, we are still focusing on how we can evolve that experiences with employees. Of course, like what I heard some of my fellow colleagues here said, that the laptops and desktops are going to stay. I think at least for the next few years, we see that will still continue the way it is working today, and we'll have to see how it evolves from here on. Is something interesting for us, which we will wait and watch.
Okay, laptops and desktops are here to stay. Maybe moving on to the mobile as well. Suresh, what will you add to that list?
Pretty much. So, especially on these areas, right? How we can make an effective aspect like the virtual desktop solution. VDI is one of the primary thing, wherein it can ensure that you don't have anything in your desktop and everything is there in the virtual desktop. And second thing, one of our panelists was saying about going to the level of a tab kind of thing, right? So we actually operate in the level of diskless laptops, right? So wherein you can use a very thin, lightweight laptops just to access your VDI component. So rest of your complete desktop is there in the virtual desktop, right? So you don't need anything in your desktop or laptop to operate that, and you can bring in your to that and that use that. So that way this we see it as a futuristic thing, and we already deployed it for our own employees as well as for most of our customers. So it's as if virtual desktop solutions. So this ensures that in terms of security, in terms of patch management, a lot of such factors are coming into play. And this is going to be the future, according to us, that we don't have to worry about what sort of kind of application the employee or the person is going to deploy or run in that, because everything is centrally controlled, right? So all we need to do is just assign a user, and the user, he or she, will be able to connect and then work seamlessly. So that is going to be the future, according to us.
Great, and the future looks very exciting. Sumedha, you just heard from the other panelists. You mentioned that a lot of the tools are already present on Google Workspace. What more can we expect for the future?
We will continue to roll out our features at a steady pace. We will continue to focus on human experiences, hearing from our customers, like in this customers and potential customers, like in this roundtable that I'm hearing from all of you, is a very important channel for us to take back to product and reprioritize if needed on our product development. There is a lot we are doing on the AI front, things like auto transcribing of the recording in a video conference in Meet through AI, and the accuracies of those will only keep improving, using Translate to actually help people from different languages connect with each other on Meet platform. And sometimes we have seen something interesting happen where people, there are folks from two different languages completely meeting each other. They really don't need a translator. They can just operate on their own if you turn on Meet. So those are going to gain more accuracy over the years, given it is powered by Google's AI platform. So AI will continue to be a very strong focus for us. And security, rolling out client-side encryption, DLPs like Chat DLP, Drive DLP, which actually stops misuse or mis-sharing of data, and data that you really don't want to share can be restricted by your admin and your organization through the data loss prevention policies that you will be setting up, and that will be effective across all forms of communication, not just email. So all of these are very, very important steps towards making the hybrid workplace safer, as well as more closer to the human way of interacting, like opening up a meeting from a doc. That seems like the most relevant thing to do if you were sitting next to your colleague and working on a document together, and you would just speak and have a conversation. Now, the closest to that possible is you literally click on a button while you are on a document and have a video chat with the collaborator or contributor. So we are doing these things which are unique, which are going to really make things a lot more seamless and richer from a human interaction point of view, even when the two people are not meeting physically.
Okay, and that's of course for the next the AR, the augmented reality version of things. I mean, where we actually almost seems like we're talking to the other person. But disruption is what is the theme that we've heard from all our panelists, and that clearly seems to stay on course while also addressing very important and critical issues of security of the data which is being handled, democratization, resilience. These are some of the key themes that have emerged out of this discussion. I'd like to thank all our panelists for being a part of today's very special session of Forbes India Presents The New at Work, presented by Google Workspace. Thank you so much for watching.
Forbes India presents The New at Work, presented by Google Workspace.